E.T. on 4K Blu-ray. Okay, so in the opening scene, when E.T.'s running away from the evil, bad, faceless humans, I noticed something really funny this time around. So there's a few shots where he's running through the bushes, but it doesn't look like he's running. It looks like he's on like a little track, just like sliding through the bushes as follows. Look at him. See that? I don't know if you can see that in that short clip. Okay, here's another shot of him just sliding through the trees. I think these kids are playing D&D or something right here.
Oh, great. So you got an arrow right in your chest. And
Hear that?
Oh, no. Don't worry about it.
But there's like an ashtray with a bunch of smoke coming out of it. Is like underage smoking in this movie? Okay, so a quick note on the 4K itself. This is a substantial upgrade over the Blu-ray. I would say the major differences that you can see this versus the Blu-ray is that the grain on here, the film grain, looks like fine individual little dots, and on the Blu-ray it almost looks like clumps of dots, if that makes sense. Also, the Blu-ray is a lot brighter to the point where it kind of looks a little washed out. I know I say that a lot, but it tends to be the difference that I see on a calibrated TV between the Blu-ray and 4K of movies often. And then, of course, the color and contrast are hugely improved on the 4K, especially the black levels. This movie has a lot of like really dark scenes, and the 4K handles those really, really good. They look really clean, and you can see the detail of what's going on, but the darks actually look deep and dark, and it's awesome. Another massive upgrade on the 4K versus the Blu-ray is that this has the, what do they call it, DTS-X, and the other one had a Dolby Digital 7.1, and the sound on here is awesome. It is big and immersive and beautiful and clear, and the sound is an absolute upgrade. So I grew up watching this movie a lot, and on VHS, that was all I saw it on. So to see this movie basically look like a pristine 35mm print, it just took me back. It made me feel like I was watching it as a little kid in the theater in 1982, which I didn't exist in 1982 yet. But one thing about this is that there were no film scratches or anything. There was none of those vertical lines that showed up. The restoration was pristine. It just felt like I was watching a brand new movie, and it was really exciting. And I was showing my kids the movie because my wife was asleep, and they loved it. But it was so cool to sit next to them and just watch all their reactions. And the 3-year-old was asking me kind of an excessive amount of questions, but I was trying to talk them all through it so they didn't get freaked out. But they really liked it, and it was like a huge emotional journey for them to watch. It was really satisfying. My wife was a little bit upset though, because when she woke up from her nap, the movie was still going, and it was like some of the scariest parts. And she looked over, and I guess the kids had like super horrified looks on their faces. So she wasn't thrilled with that. These nighttime profile shots of between the house and the shed with the moon in the background are so beautiful. Okay, so if you haven't realized yet, we're doing a review of the movie, we're doing analysis of the movie, Easter eggs, my favorite parts, my thoughts and experience on this thing. So this part right here was my very favorite part growing up.
Maybe an elf or a leprechaun.
There's nothing like that, penis breath.
Elliot! Sit down.
I noticed for the very first time, this time, that the mom was like laughing at what he said. And my 7-year-old was like, "What did he say?" I'm like, "Not telling you." He's like, "Well, he heard part of it, but he didn't hear the rest of it." And he's like, "Tell me what he said." And I'm like, "Nope, you can hear it next time." All right, this movie is Star Wars Easter Egg Central. Steven Spielberg and George Lucas were friends, obviously, and this is 1982. Empire Strikes Back had just come out in 1980, and Return of the Jedi was about to come out in 1983. So a kid would totally have a bunch of Star Wars stuff. So right here on this side of the frame, you can see a normal TIE fighter, like a straight wing TIE fighter. And then coming up here, you're going to see Han's blaster on his little desk. Han Solo's blaster. It's kind of hard to see because it's totally black and it's really shadowy, but I saw it. I always see Star Wars things. Boop. Okay, so E.T. starts touching all the stuff on the desk. And if you look right there, what is that? Right there. Kind of looks like this, maybe? Wouldn't you say? I would say. But you can see it better once it's actually moving. There it is. Look at that. Right there. I mean, yeah, I'm totally paying attention to the story. Okay, so this has been quite a while since I've watched this movie. And one thing that's always kind of been like a mystery to me is their connection that they have where they feel each other's feelings. And this time as I watched it, I noticed that you can actually start to see their connection forming. And this part where E.T.'s just mimicking Elliot, so that's not really like the feelings connection. But I think in this scene, when you see them actually start to connect is when E.T. starts to make like a really tired face. Sorry, I can't just keep showing that or they'll get me. But E.T. makes a really tired face, and then you see, I know Elliot's been like awake all night, but then he starts getting really tired. And I think you could just easily dismiss that and be like, yeah, they're both tired. But I think this is the first scene showing that they're starting to feel the same things. Right here, here's E.T.'s super tired eye. Oh, starting to drift. Okay, so yeah, I promise I was paying attention to the plot in this movie, but I was really just looking for Star Wars Easter eggs. But so there's Elliot after he's being a dirty faker and putting his thermometer in the lamp. But look at this. You got an X-wing hanging from the ceiling. You got Darth Vader's TIE fighter hanging from the ceiling. You've got the space shuttle, and then over here is an F-16 or F-15. I can't remember the difference. Forgive me, I'm not a biologist. This kind of silhouetted scene is a really good example. Awesome. It's a really good example of how the 4K just crushes the Blu-ray just because the blacks look so good in this scene, and the film grain in this scene with all the dark and then the light coming through the window just looks pristine in the 4K. So this scene would be a really good demo between the two of them. Also, more Star Wars figures, and he names them all. I was so excited. Okay, so I was telling my wife that this movie is such perfect visual and audio storytelling that you could not even speak a word of English and probably understand the whole point of this movie. But speaking of their connection, of Elliot and E.T.'s connection, so Elliot's downstairs, yeah, because his bedroom's upstairs. So he's downstairs at the fridge getting the alien some food, and E.T.'s upstairs, and he's about to scare himself with the umbrella. So they're in totally different rooms. And then look what happens here with Elliot. So, I mean, maybe this is obvious to everyone ever, but I feel like movies when you're really, really little are a lot more confusing. And so when I watch it as an older person, like a more distinguished, older, wrinkly, fatter, tireder, bloodshottier person, I feel like I get more stuff. And so I was really watching for the connection, the emotional connection between them, because it used to catch me off guard in the elementary school where suddenly he was acting drunk and I was just like, what is going on? So anyway, this scene is another key scene establishing their feelings connection, because E.T. just got scared and then he felt scared because he feels what he feels. So here it is, building the case for the later weird drunk free the frogs kiss the Beverly Hillbilly girl scene. Okay, so his Yoda impersonation is actually really awesome. But one thing I loved in movies when I was little is when you have the little like underdog type kid who was getting, like, he was trying to get into their game at the beginning and they wouldn't let him in, just like Rudolph. But when you have the little underdog type kid and he has like some some situation that causes him to be able to like totally be the boss of an older brother or something like that. I always felt really empowered in these little kid type movies when scenes like this happen, where the little kid is able to like boss the big kid around, or like in like Three Ninjas where they like beat up adults or whatever. Like I always really liked that in movies when I was little. All right, I'm a total sucker for these shots in movies. It to me, it's the Hitchcock maneuver. My friend calls it the Zolly, the zooming and the so zooming and a dolly, so Zolly. I to me, it's just the Hitchcock thing. But check this out. So the camera is physically rolling forward while the lens is zooming out, and it just creates this almost like dizzying effect here. And then it actually reverses the shot here in a second. Okay, so it's the keys belt guy. That's like how we know him. He's the spook with the belt keys. Spook as in government person, like how it's used in conspiracy theory. Don't get weird with me. So yeah, they're gonna reverse it right here. So the camera kind of tracked or panned over to this guy, and the camera's pushed all the way up on the edge, and now they're going to start physically rolling the camera backwards while zooming in, and they keep this guy at the same size, but watch how the background, watch what it does to the background. Here we go. There you go. See that? So awesome. Oh, I love that. So yeah, just a couple of amazing Zolly shots back to back. First, they roll the camera forward while they're zooming out, so the houses are getting farther away, and yet you're able to see more of them because the camera's getting closer, and then it can look over the edge and actually see more of them. So it's a really really awesome shot, and then it does it in reverse off its keys. Love it. Blown away by that shot. Look at this scene out of context. So during the school frog dissection drunk scene and kissing scene, this girl who in the movie is just credited as Pretty Girl, I was looking at her, I was like, she looks so familiar. Where have I seen her? And I figured it out. She is this girl from Beverly Hillbillies, Ellie Mae Clampett. I think that's her name. So you can kind of see it. Anyway, this movie's awesome, and I was looking at the back to see when it came out. It's like 1993, and I saw that it's owned by Fox, and I was like, dang it, that means Disney has their dirty, grimy, greedy hands on it, and it's probably not going to get a Blu-ray or anything awesome. Anyway, that movie's great, and she's in it, so that was cool. Also, one thing I noticed about her is he pulls up to the bus stop with his brother, and they're like super focused on ET, and she says hi to him at the bus stop like 3 times, and he doesn't notice any time. And then right here, he just caught her staring at him. So I didn't realize how much she's trying to get his attention. I thought it was like an all him thing once he gets all drunk. But yeah, that's Ellie Mae Clampett from Beverly Hillbillies. Who knew? I knew. Okay, I noticed something this time around that I've never noticed before, and I've seen this movie a bunch. So when E.T. is digging through the fridge trying to find something, and eventually, of course, he finds all the beer, look at his hand, specifically on top of his hand at the veins. And yeah, tell me honestly if you've ever noticed this before. Okay, look at the top of E.T.'s hands at the veins. Look at them. See them? See what they're doing? You see that? So if you look close at these veins on the back of his hand, they're like pulsing, and it's like a heartbeat. Like you see them go boom, 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 like filling up and deflating. So I'm gonna put it closer, and then look at the veins. And this is such incredible detail in this movie. You see that? It's like a heartbeat pulse. That is so awesome. This movie has such amazing attention to detail. Actually, while I'm on that, so not just E.T. himself as like a convincing little alien, but all of the special effects hold up. So in 4K, sometimes the special effects don't look as good, and it kind of kills it. But the special effects in this movie are so good that pretty much all of them look fine. Like there's a few parts where you can tell the kids are in front of like a blue screen when they're riding their bikes through the sky. But for the most part, like everything looks flawless. Like this movie is so well done. And I told my mom that I watched it again. I showed my kids and she asked me if it holds up. And yes, it totally holds up. This is the perfect shot. Look at his face. She's just like, ugh. Okay, so the subtle parts of Elliot and E.T. being connected are now super over. Now the movie's just being really, really obvious and in your face with it. But we get this beautiful shot right here where then Elliot ends up standing on this kid to kiss this girl. It's awesome. But yeah, this is the infamous frog freeing scene, and where you just definitively see that Elliot and E.T. are emotionally connected, even to where later in the movie he says we're fine instead of I'm fine. All right, coming up here where Elliot just cut his finger on the saw, and Elliot and E.T. are like in the little closet that's in between the two kids' bedrooms, and the mom is reading Peter Pan to Gertie, which is kind of fun because this is a Steven Spielberg movie and later he made Hook, so that's cool. But I think, so I'm going to show you something that looks really, really cool and another amazing attention to detail as far as like the E.T. special effects go, like E.T. the person special effects. And then I'm going to show you what I think is one of the most like beautiful and well done scenes in the whole movie. All right, I didn't actually know that E.T.'s pupils are able to move and be manipulated. So look at this. Look at E.T.'s eye. You see that? That is such attention to detail. Here's up close for good measure. Did you see that? Isn't that incredible? Listen to what the mom says.
She says she thinks she could get well again if children believed in fairies.
You hear that, Peter Pan?
Very sacred that you believe. I do. If you believe, clap your hands. Many clap, some don't, a few hiss.
Okay, so the reason I think that is so beautiful is because, so that part in Peter Pan is to make Tinkerbell well, you have to say you believe in fairies and clap, right? And the mom is reading and she's like, it's the children believing that make her better. And so I think with E.T., it's the children that make him better. It's the children that free him, and it's the children that believe in him. So I just think it's a really awesome parallel between the Peter Pan story and Tinkerbell being saved by children believing, and E.T. being saved by children believing, essentially. So just the parallel right there, I was just like, this is so good. All right, that does definitely not pick up on my phone, but this music and this scene and special effects are so beautiful and hold up all these years later. Look at this. So awesome. And he tells E.T. to be careful, and then they immediately crash land. Okay, so here they've built a interspace travel communication device out of common household items, like one does. And my question is, this part right here, what Elliot says.
It's working.
Okay, it's working. So is the part in The Phantom Menace where Anakin gets his pod racer up and running for the first time, and he's like, it's working. Is that a reference to this right here? I think it is, because George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were friends, and I'm going to say that it is. So you could argue, but I think it's a reference to this. So, Okay, if I was watching the fear-o-meter of my kids during this scene, and I would say my 3-year-old was maxed out on the fear-o-meter. Sorry. And so you've got ET all pale, and then you've got the scary humans coming to take him away. And I just looked over at her, and she seemed like the scaredest during the entire movie of ET not feeling good and the humans coming to take him away and study him. So I had to really talk her through this part, just be like, it's okay, they're just gonna study him, he's gonna get better. But yeah, 3-year-old, very, very scared on this part. All right, so here's Michael's friends in the crowd. This guy, was his name Thomas Howell? Yeah, right here, Thomas Howell. So 1982. So in 1984, he's going to play Robert in Red Dawn. Man, look at him right now. I think he grew up in a couple years between this and Red Dawn. Also, Red Dawn, I think, ages him like 40 years. His character, anyway. Look, Robert from Red Dawn. Neat. Okay, because I'm a good dad, we have the little golden books of some classics. But one thing in E.T. is that there's a mistake. So you can see Michael's driving the van. But in the book, it says that Elliot's driving. See right there. America, explain! Okay, so this van is about to go rallying through the park. But look at the curb right here. Right there. What do you think is going to happen right there where that nice little board is set up? Let's see. Oh, check it out. That's right, where they went over the curb. I didn't notice that before. Anyway, I just thought it was funny that there's like the little ramp there for it to easily go over the curb. Gotta be gentle on the van. It's a rental. Gotta mention the awesome bike riding scene and how this totally inspired me and friends and all kids everywhere to just ride your bike like a crazy person off of things. Okay, do you see Elliot's face right here? So that is his reaction to seeing what? It's not radios like in the 2002 20th anniversary version that came to theaters. It's adults holding shotguns at a barricade. So I was working at the movie theater in 2002 when this came out for the 20th anniversary, and they changed this scene and they removed the shotguns from these guys. So it no longer looked like this right there. So the re-release for the 20th anniversary made these guys holding radios instead of shotguns. And apparently everyone told Steven Spielberg that was really stupid, and he basically said sorry and switched it back and never showed that one again, which is really interesting. But yeah, they're holding shotguns. They're not holding radios. And I think that actually kind of killed the scene, because as the kids are riding up, it shows a close-up of the shotgun, and it shows their faces, and they're like, oh my gosh. And then it shows E.T.'s face. And I think you can think that he's like, I got to make these kids fly out of here because we're actually in danger. So I think it kind of hurt the scene, even though it's kind of silly that why would cops have shotguns with kids? I don't know, maybe because they're getting away with their alien or whatever. But yeah, changing it to radios was a bad idea. And the scene has more power with the shotguns, even though it is silly, they have them. But yeah, I remember working at the theater when this came out, and I'm pretty sure I ended up watching the re-release in theaters as well. Speaking of the 20th anniversary, the special features have like a bunch of clips of the 20th anniversary concert premiere thing where they brought out all the cast and John Williams played the score in front of the movie playing. And that would have been cool to go to. Would have loved to go to that. The closest thing I've done is gone to the Star Wars in concert, where they have the giant screen with the symphony in front of it. And then they play, it's like 2 hours, and they play clips from all 6 movies. Yeah, I said 6. This ending is beautiful. It really got me in the feels. I was worried the kids would be sad that E.T.'s leaving, but I think they were happy that he's going home. This is a beautiful shot. So yeah, it's been kind of a long one, so thanks for sticking with me. I just wanted to share one last thing. There's somebody that I know, that I've known for my entire life, that has been deathly afraid of E.T. And one day as an adult, apparently E.T. came to him in a dream and was like, "Hey, what's your problem? I'm actually a really nice guy." And so I guess they worked it out. And so from then on, he was no longer afraid of E.T. If you're watching this, sorry. I couldn't help it. It's just such an incredible story. I mean, who else has had E.T. show up to them in a dream? All right, overall, this is a huge and substantial upgrade over this. So, absolutely worth it for the 4K on this one. It was a delight to watch it. It was so fun to discover it with my kids for the first time and watch what parts scared them and be able to talk them through it. Such a good movie. And Drew Barrymore is adorable in this. Anyway, my official answer is that my kids really liked this movie, even if they looked absolutely horrified during multiple parts during it, and I got in trouble a little bit. But yeah, love this movie. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you've been on the ride at Universal Studios where there's all the little tiny ETs when you go to the ET planet. I loved that ride. It smelled so good. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.